Jack's having a double life and lose weight. They all notice that, well, they realize that Jack is actually Ernest.
Cecily, surely such a utilitarian occupation as the wearing of flowers is not as doing rather dangerous, especially at a moment when intellectual pleasures are waiting. The German grammar is here on the table. Pray again at page 15. You could repeat yesterday, Cecily.
But I don't like German. It isn't at all a becoming language. I know perfectly well and look quite famous for my German lesson.
Child, you know how ancient regarding this, that you should improve yourself in every way. Philip particular stress on your German as he was doing for Tom yesterday. Indeed, he always lays stress on your German when he for Tom.
Uncle Jack is so very serious. Sometimes he's so serious, I don't think he can be well.
You know your parent enjoys the best of health. His gravitas de manner is particularly to be commended in someone so particularly young as he is. I know no one who has a higher sense of duty and responsibility.
I believe that's why he often looks quite bored when we interact together.
Cecily, I'm surprised at you. Mr. Worthy has a lot of troubles in his life. Idle merriment and triviality won't be out of place in this conversation. You must remember his constant anxiety about that unfortunate young man, his brothers.
I wish Uncle Jack would let that unfortunate young man and his brother to come down here with us sometimes, Miss Prism. I think we might have a good influence in him. I'm certainly sure you would. You know German and geology, and those kinds of things influence a man very much.
I don't think that even I will have any influence on a character that, according to his own brother's admission, is absolutely vacillating and weak. Indeed, I don't think I would desire to refrain. I'm not in favor of this modern mania turning good people into bad people at a moment's choice. As a man sows, so shall he reap. Cecily, put away that diary. I don't think we should keep a diary at all.
I keep a diary in order to enter the wonderful secrets of my life. If I didn't write them down, I should probably forget all about them.
Memory, my dear Cecily, is the diary we all carry with us.
Yes, I know that, but it usually chronicles events that have never happened or couldn't possibly have happened. I think memory is responsible for nearly all the 3-volume novels that Mommy sends us.
Let's just speak slightly about the 3-volume novel. I wrote one myself in earlier days.
Did you really, Miss Prism? How wonderfully clever of you. I hope it did not end happily. I don't like novels that end happily. They depress me so much.
The good ended happily, the bad unhappily. That's what fiction means.
I suppose so, but it seems very unfair. And did your novel ever get published?
No. The manuscript was unfortunately abandoned. I use the word in terms of lost or mislaid. But anyways, to your poor child, these speculations are profitless.
But I see that the chasuble coming down through the garden.
That the chasuble, this is indeed a surprise.
And how are we this morning? Miss Prism, I trust you are well.
Miss Prism has just been complaining about a slight headache. I know it would do her so much well if she went for a short stroll with you in the park after chasuble.
I haven't mentioned anything about a headache.
Yes, dear Miss Prism, I know that, but I felt instinctively that you had a headache.
I hope, Cecily.
I was thinking about that, and not my German lesson when the rector came in.
I hope, Cecily, you are not inattentive.
I am afraid I am.
That is strange. When I am fortunate enough to be Miss Prism's pupil, I would hang upon her lips. I spoke metaphorically. My metaphor was drawn from bees. Mr. Walting, I suppose, has not returned from town yet.
No, we don't expect him till Monday afternoon.
Oh, yes, he usually likes to spend his Sunday in London. He's not one of those who saw his enjoyment, as by all accounts that unfortunate young man his brother seems to be. But I must not disturb Egeria and her pupil any longer.
Egeria? My name's Letitia, Doctor.
A classical allusion, merely, drawn from the pagan authors. I shall see you both, no doubt, at evensong.
Wait, Doctor, I think I have a stroll with you. I find I have a headache after all, and what may do it good?
With pleasure, Miss Prism, with pleasure. We might go as far as the schools and back.
That would be delightful. Cecily, you may read your political economy in my absence. The chapter on the Paul de Rupert you may omit. It is somewhat too sensational. Even these metallic products have been melodramatized.
Horrid political economy. Horrid geography. Horrid Yeah, before. Uncle Jack's brother! Did you tell him Mr. Worthing wasn't done?
Yes, and he seemed too much disappointed. I mentioned you and Miss Prism were in the garden. He wants to speak to you privately.
Or he asked Ernest Worthing to come here. You may talk to the housekeeper about the room for him.
Oh, yes.
I have never met a really wicked man. I feel rather frightened. I am so afraid he would do just like everybody else. He does.
You're my little cousin Cecily, I'm sure.
You're under some strange mistake. I am not ill. I am more than usually tall for my age, but I am your cousin Cecily. You, I see by your card, are Uncle Jack's brother, my cousin Ernest. My wicked cousin Ernest.
Oh, but I am not really wicked. You mustn't think that I'm wicked.
If you're not, then you surely have been deceiving us out in a very inexcusable manner. I hope you haven't pretended to be wicked when you're really not. That would be hypocrisy.
Oh, of course I have been rather reckless.
I am glad to hear it.
In fact, now you mention the subject, I have been very bad in my own small way.
I don't think you should be proud of that. Though I think it must have been very pleasant.
It is much pleasanter being here with you.
I don't understand why you're here at all. Uncle Jack will be back until Monday afternoon.
That is a great disappointment. I am obliged to go over the first train on Monday morning. I have a business appointment that I am anxious to miss.
Couldn't you miss it anywhere but London?
No, the appointment is in London.
Well, I know, of course, how important it is not to keep a business engagement if one wants to retain any sense of the beauty of life. But still, I think you should wait until Uncle Jack arrives. I know he wants to talk to you about your emigrating.
About my what?
Your emigrating. He has gone off to buy your outfit.
I certainly won't let Jack buy my outfit. He has no taste in neckties at all.
I don't think you will require neckties. Uncle Jack is sending you to Australia.
Australia? I'd sooner die.
Well, I remember him saying at dinner on Wednesday night that you will have to choose between this world, the next world, or Australia.
Oh well, the accounts I have received of Australia and the next world are not particularly encouraging. I think this world is good enough for me.
Yes, but are you good enough for it?
I'm afraid I'm not that. That is why I want you to reform me. Do not make that your mission is mine.
Oh, I'm afraid I'm not dying this afternoon.
Well, would you mind my reforming myself this afternoon?
That is rather quixotic of you, but I think you should try.
I will. I feel better already.
You're looking a little worse.
That's because I'm hungry.
I should have remembered when one's about to lead an entire new life, one requires wholesome and regular meals. Want you come in?
Thank you. May I have a buttonhole first?
First. Huh. A sunflower?
No, what's in the rose?
Why?
Because you are in rose,
I don't think it can be right for you to talk to me like that. Miss Prism never said such things to me.
Then Miss Prism is a short-sighted old lady. You're the prettiest girl I ever saw.
Miss Prism says that all good looks are as not.
They are as not that every sensible man would like to be Karin.
Oh, I don't think I would like to carry. I don't think I would like to catch a sensible man. I wouldn't know what to speak to him about.
You're too much too alone, dear Dr. Chaswell. I think you should get married. A misanthrope, I can understand. A womanthrope, never.
Now, believe me, I do not deserve so neologistic phrases and precepts, as well as the practice of the primitive church, were distinctly against matrimony.
That's obviously the reason why primitive church has not lasted up to our present day. And you do not seem to realize, dear doctor, that by persistently remaining single, a man converts himself into a public temptation.
Well, is a man not equally attractive when married?
No man is ever attracted except to his wife.
And often I've been told not even to her.
That depends on the intellectual sympathies of the woman. Maturity can always be trusted on. Rudeness is obviously great. Young women are green. I spoke horticulturally. But where's Cecily?
Perhaps she followed us to the schools.
Mr. Worthing!
Mr. Worthing?
This is a surprise. We did not expect you until Monday afternoon.
I have returned sooner than I expected. Dr. Chaswell, I hope you're well.
Dear Mr. Worthing, I trust this garb of woe does not betoken some terrible calamity.
My brother.
More shameful depths and extravagance.
Still leading his life of pleasure.
Dead.
Brother Ernest dead?
Quite dead.
What a lesson for him. I I trust you will profit by it.
Mr. Worthing, I offer you my sincere condolence. You have at least the consolation of knowing that you were always the most generous and forgiving of brothers.
Poor Ernest. He had many faults. Where is the sad, sad blow?
Very sad indeed. Were you with him at the end?
No, he died abroad in Paris. In fact, I had a telegram last night from the manager of the Grand Hotel.
Was the cause of death mentioned?
A severe chill sickness.
As I always say, as a man sows, so shall he reap.
Charity, dear Miss Prism, charity. None of us are perfect. Even myself, I'm peculiarly susceptible to draughts. Will the interment take place here?
No, he expressed a desire to be buried in Paris.
In Paris? Oh, you would no doubt wish me to make some slight allusion to this tragic domestic affliction next Sunday. My sermon on the meaning of the manna in the wilderness can be adapted to almost any occasion, joyful or, as in this case, distressing. I have preached it in her celebrations, christenings.
You mentioned the christening, Doctor. I suppose you know how to christen, alright? I mean, of course you have continually christening, haven't you?
It is, I regret to say, the rector's most constant duty in this parish. I have often spoken to the poorer classes on the subject, but I don't seem to get what drift is.
But is there any infant in whom you're interested, Mr. Worthing? Your brother was, I believe, unmarried, was he not?
Ah, yes.
People who live entirely for pleasure are for honor.
But it's not for you childhood, Doctor. I am very fond of children. Now, the fact is, I would like to be christened myself. This afternoon, if you have nothing better to do.
But surely, Mr. Worthing, you've been christened already.
I don't remember anything about it.
But have you any grave doubts on the subject?
I certainly intend to have. Of course, I don't know if the thing will bother you in any way. Or you think I'm a little too old now?
Not at all. The sprinkling and indeed the immersion of adults is a perfectly canonical practice.
Immersion?
Oh, you need have no apprehensions, Mr. Worthing. Sprinkling is all that is needed, or indeed, I think advisable. Our weather is so changeable. At what hour would you wish the ceremony performed?
Oh, I might throw around about 5, that would suit you.
Perfectly. In fact, I have 2 similar ceremonies to perform at that time. A case of twins that occurred recently in one of the outlying cottages of our own estate. Poor Jenkins the carter, a most hard-working man.
Oh, I don't see much form in christening now with other babies. Don't be childish. Would have us fire them?
Admirably. And now, dear Mr. Worthing, I will not intrude any longer into a house of sorrow. I would really beg you not to be much bowed down by grief. What seem to us bitter trials are often blessings in disguise.
This seems to me a blessing in the most obvious kind.
Uncle Jack! Oh, I am pleased to see you back. But what holy clothes have you got on? Do go and change them.
Cecily!
My child!
What's the matter, Uncle Jack? You look as if you had a drink. And I have such a surprise for you. Who do you think is in the dining room? Your brother.
Who?
Your brother Ernest. Here I about half an hour ago.
What nonsense? I haven't got a brother.
Uncle Jack, don't say that. However badly he may have behaved to you in the past, he's still your brother. And you couldn't be so heartless as to disown him. I told him to come out, and you will shake hands with him. Won't you, Uncle Jack?
These are very joyful tidings.
After we had all been resigned to his sudden loss, his sudden return seems to me slightly distressful.
My brother is in the dining room? I don't know what it means. I think it's perfectly absurd. Good heavens.
Brother John, I have come down from town to tell you that I am very sorry for all the trouble I have given you, and that I intend to live a better life in the future.
Uncle Jack, you're not going to refuse your brother's hand?
Nothing will induce me to take his hand. I think he's coming down here disgraceful. He knows perfectly well why.
Uncle Jack, there is some good in everyone, and Ernest has just been telling me about his poor invalid friend Mr. Boomerang, whom he goes to visit so often, and surely there will be much good in one who's kind to an invalid, who lives the pleasures of London rather than Spain.
Oh, has he been talking about Bunbury, has he?
Yes, he has told me all about poor Mr. Boomerang and his terrible state of health.
Well, I won't have been talking about Bunbury or anything else. I think it's enough to drive him perfectly frantic.
Of course I admit that the faults were all on my side, but I must say that Brother John's comments to me is peculiarly painful, especially considering that this is the first time I have come here.
Uncle Jack, if you don't shake hands with Ernest, I will never forgive you.
Never forgive me.
Never, never, never.
Well, this is the last time I shall ever do it.
It's pleasant, is it not, to see so perfect a reconciliation, but I think we might leave the 2 brothers together.
And Cecily, you may come with us.
Certainly, Miss Prism, my little task of reconciliation is over.
You have done a beautiful action today, dear child.
We must not be premature in our judgments.
I am very happy.
You must get out of space as soon as possible. I don't know any bomber in here.
I have put Mr. Ernest luggage in the room next to your own, sir. I suppose that is all right.
What?
Mr. Ernest luggage, sir. I have unpacked it and put it in the room next to your own.
It's luggage.
Yes, sir. 4 suitcases, 2 head boxes, and a large luggage basket.
I'm afraid I can say more than a week this time.
Miriam ordered the dog car once. Mr. Ernest had been slowly go back to town.
Yes, sir.
What a faithful lad you are, Jack. I have nothing else to turn at all.
Yes, you have.
I've never heard anyone call me.
Your duty as a gentleman called you back.
My duty as a gentleman has never interfered with my pleasures, Miss Miles degree.
I can quite understand.
Well, Cecily is about it.
You know to talk with Miss Cargill like that. I don't like it.
Well, I don't like your clothes. You look perfectly ridiculous in them. Why don't you go up and change? It is perfectly childish to be in mourning for a man who is actually staying with you for a whole week in your house as a guest. I call it grotesque.
You're certainly not staying with me for a whole week as a guest or anything else. You have got to leave, like the 4 or 5 journey.
I certainly will leave you, so long as you are in mourning. It will be muscle friend. If I were in mourning, you must stay with me, I suppose. I should think you were unkind if you didn't.
Well, would you go if I change my clothes?
If you are not too long, I never saw anybody take so long to dress and with such little result.
Well, at any rate, that's better than me knowing as overdressed as you are.
If I am occasionally a little overdressed, I make it for it by being always immensely overeducated.
Your vanity is ridiculous and your conduct is an outrage. Your presence in my garden is utterly absurd. However, you have got to catch the 4 or 5, and I will hope you have a pleasant journey back to town. This bombering, as you call it, hasn't been a great success for you.
I think it has been a great success. I'm in love with Cecily and that is everything. But I must see her before I go and make arrangements for another bomber. Oh, there she is.
Oh, I really came back to water the roses. I thought you were going to go back.
He's gone to order the dog car food.
Is he going to take you for a nice drive?
He's going to send me away.
Then have we got to part?
I'm afraid so. It is a very painful party.
It is always painful to part from someone one has known for a very brief space of time. The absence of old friends is one can endure that with equanimity, but even a momentary separation from someone one has just been introduced to is almost unbearable.
The doctor is waiting at the door, sir.
It can wait, Merryman, for 5 minutes.
Cecily, I hope I shall not offend you if I state quite frankly and openly that you seem to me to be in every way the visible personification of absolute perfection.
I think your friend is considering pretty earnest. If you allow me, I will copy your remarks into my diary.
Did you really keep a diary? Have you meditated already? May I?
Of course not. You see, it is merely a young girl's record of her own thoughts and impressions, and consequently meant for publication. When it appears in my form, I hope you will alter a copy. But for earnest, don't stop. I rely on taking down for dictation. I have reached absolute perfection. You can go on. I am quite ready for more. Don't go, Ernest. When one is thinking, one should not go. One should speak fluently. Besides, I don't know how to spell a cup.
Cecily, ever since I first looked upon your wonderful and incomparable beauty, I have learned to love you wildly, passionately, devotedly, hopelessly.
I don't think that you should love me. Wildly, passionately, devotedly, hopelessly. Hopelessly doesn't seem to make much sense, does it?
Cecily,
The doctor is waiting at the door, sir.
tell her to come around next week at the same hour.
Uncle Jack would be very much annoyed if he found out that you're seeing us this week at the same hour.
But I don't care about Jack. I don't care about anybody in the whole world but you. I love you, Cecily. You will marry me, won't you?
You see, boy. Of course I will, but we have been engaged for the last 3 months.
For the last 3 months.
Yes, it will be exactly 3 months on Thursday.
But how did we become engaged?
Well, ever since Uncle Jack first confessed to us that he had a younger brother who was very wicked and bad, you of course have been the chief topic of conversation between Miss Grissom and I, and certainly a man who so often thought about is often very attractive. I don't say it was foolish of me, Ernest, but I fell in love with you.
Oh, darling. And when was the engagement actually settled?
On March 22nd, born of that your entire ignorance of my existence. I was determined to end the matter one way or another, and after a long struggle with myself, I accepted you under this dear old tree here. The next day, I bought a ring in your name, and this is a true lover's knot that I promise you always to wear.
Did I give you this? It's very pretty, isn't it?
Yes, they have wonderfully good taste. That is the excuse I have always given for you living such a bad life. And this is where I keep all your dear letters.
My letters? But my dear Cecily, I have never written you any letters.
You need hardly remind me of that. I remember only too well that I was forced to write your letters for you. I wrote always 3 times a week, and sometimes oftener.
Do let me read them, Cecily.
Oh, I couldn't possibly. They would make me far too conceited. The 3 you wrote me after I had broken off our engagement are so beautiful and so badly spelled. Even now I can hardly read them without crying a little.
But was our engagement ever broken up?
Of course it was. On March 22nd. You can see the entry if you like. Today I broke off my engagement with Ernest. I feel it is better to do so. The weather still continues charming.
But why on earth did you break it off? What had I done? I have done nothing at all. Cecily, I'm very much hurt indeed to hear that you broke it off, especially when the weather was so charming.
Well, it would hardly have been a serious engagement if it hadn't been broken off at least once. Besides, I forgave you before the week was out.
What a perfect angel you are, Cecily.
You dear romantic boy. I hope your heart works naturally, does it?
Yes, darling. We are little here from us.
I am so glad.
You will never break off our engagement again, Cecily.
Oh, I couldn't possibly do that now that I have actually met you. Besides, there's the question of your name.
Oh, yes, of course.
You must not laugh at me, Ernest, but it has always been a girlish dream of mine to marry someone whose name was Ernest. There is something in that name that inspires absolute confidence. In fact, I pity any married woman whose husband is named Ernest.
Well, my dear child, did you mean to say that you could not love me if I had some other name?
But what name?
Oh, any name you like. Algernon, for instance.
I don't like the name of Algernon.
But my dear, sweet, loving little darling, I can see why you should object to the name of Algernon. It's a very popular name among the aristocracy. But seriously, Cecily, if my name was Algernon, couldn't you love me?
I may respect you. I might admire your character. But I'm afraid I could not give you my undivided attention.
Cecily, your rector here is, I suppose, thoroughly experienced in the practice of all the rites and ceremonies of the church.
Yes, of course. Dr. Chasuble is a most learned man. He has never written a single book. You can imagine how much he knows.
I must see him at once for a most important reason. I mean, for a most important business.
How?
I shall be away more than half an hour.
Considering that we have been engaged since February 14th and that I only met you today, I find it rather hard for you to leave me for such a long period of time as half an hour. Couldn't you make it 20 minutes?
I'll be back in no time.
What an impetuous boy he is. I like his hair so much. I must send a proposal in my diary.
Miss Fairfax has just come to see Mr. Worthing on very important business. Miss Fairfax states.
Isn't Mr. Worthing in his library?
No, Miss Worthing is going over to the rectory when just a moment ago.
Pray ask the lady to come here. Uncle Jack is sure to be back soon, and you can bring tea. Miss Fairfax, I suppose one of those elderly women that are associated with Uncle Jack's philanthropic work. I don't quite like ladies that are into philanthropic work. I think it's so forward of them.
Miss...
Oh my God.
Pray let me introduce myself to you. My name is Cecily Carter.
Cecily Carter, what a very sweet name. Something tells me that we're going to be good friends. I like you very more than I can say. My first impressions of people are never wrong.
Oh, how nice of you to like me so much after we have known each other for such a short time. Pray sit down.
I will call you Cecily, may I not?
With pleasure.
And you will always call me Gwendolyn, won't you?
If you wish.
Then that it was quite settled, is it not?
I hope so.
Perhaps this might be a favorable opportunity for my mentioning who I am. My father is Lord Bracknell. I have never heard of Papa, I suppose.
No.
Outside the family circle, I am glad to say, Papa is entirely unknown. and I think that is quite as it should be. Cecily, Mama, whose usual education are remarkably strict, has brought me up to be extremely short-sighted. Would you mind my looking at you through my glasses?
Oh, not at all, Gwendolyn. I am very fond of being looked at.
You're here on a short visit, I suppose.
Oh no, I live here.
Really? Your mother, no doubt, or some other female relative of advanced years resides here also.
I have no mother, nor in fact any relations.
Indeed.
My dear guardian, with the assistance of Miss Prism, has the artist task of looking after me.
You got it?
Yes, I am Mr. Worthing's work.
Oh, it is strange. He never mentioned to me that he had a ward. How secretive of him. He grows more interesting hourly. I'm not sure, however, that the news inspires me with feelings of amazed delight. I am very fond of you, Cecily. I have liked you ever since I met you. But now that I know that you're Mr. Worthing's ward, I cannot help expressing a wish that you were, well, just a little bit older than you seem to me, and not quite so alluring in appearance. In fact, if I may speak candidly.
Pray do, dear Gwendolyn. When one's about to say something unpleasant, I think one should always be quite candid.
Well, Cecily, to speak with perfect candor, I wish you were fully 42 and more than usually plain for your age. Ernest has a strong comprehension.
Pardon me, Gwendolyn. Did you say Ernest?
Yes.
Oh, but it is not Mr. Ernest Worthing who is my guard. It's his brother, his elder brother.
Oh, Ernest didn't mention to me that he had a brother.
I am sorry to say we have not been in good terms for a long time.
Oh. Oh, well, that accounts for it. And now that I think of it, I have never heard anyone who mentions his brother. The subject seems distasteful to most men. But Cecily, you have lifted a load from my mind. I was growing almost anxious. It would have been terrible if any cloud had come across a friendship like ours, would it not? Of course, you're quite sure that it is not Mr. Ernest Worthing who is your guardian.
Quite sure. In fact, I am going to be his.
I beg your pardon.
Dear Gwendolyn, there is no reason why I should make this a secret thing to you. Our little country newspaper is sure to chronicle the fact next week. Ernest and I are engaged to be married.
My darling Cecily, there must be some slight error. Mr. Ernest Worthing is engaged to me. The announcement will appear in the morning post at the latest.
I am afraid you will be understanding this misconception. Ernest proposed to me exactly 10 minutes ago.
Well, it is quite certainly very curious. For he asked me to be his wife yesterday afternoon at 5:30. Verify the internet. Pray do so. I never travel without my diary. One should always have something sensational to read in the train. I am so sorry, dear Cecily, if it is any disappointment to you, but I am afraid I have the prior claim.
It would distress me more than you can imagine, dear Gwendolyn, if it caused you any mental or physical anguish, but I am about to find out that since Ernest proposed to you, he has clearly changed his mind.
Well, if a poor fellow has been entrapped into any foolish promise, I shall seriously consider it my duty to rescue him at once and with a firm hand.
Whatever unfortunate entanglement my dear boy has got into, I will never approach him with it after we are married.
Did you allude to me, Miss Cardew, as an entanglement? You are presumptuous. On an occasion of this kind, when it becomes more than a moral duty to speak one's mind, it becomes a pleasure.
Do you assume, Miss Fairfax, that I entrapped Ernest into our engagement? How dare you? This is no time to be wearing the shallow mask of manner. When I say spade, I call it a spade.
Well, I am glad to say that I have never seen a spade. It is obvious that our social spheres have been widely different.
May I wait here as usual, Miss?
Yes, as usual.
Are there many interesting works in the vicinity, Miss Cardew?
Of course, a great many. From the top of one of those hills, one can see 5 counties.
5 counties? Oh, I don't think I should like that. I hate crowds.
I suppose that is why we live in town.
Quite a wicked garden this is, Miss Fairfax, Miss Cardew.
So glad you like it, Miss Fairfax.
I had no idea that there were any flowers in the country.
Oh, flowers are as common here as people are in London.
Personally, I can't understand how anybody manages to exist in the country. I mean, if anybody who is anybody does.
Oh, that is... Tell me.
The country always bores me to death.
That is what the newspaper called agricultural depression, is it not? I believe the aristocracy are suffering from it at this very moment. It is almost an epidemic amongst them. I have been told. May I offer you some tea, Miss Fairfax?
Thank you. Detestable girl, but I require tea.
Sugar?
No, thank you. Sugar is not fashionable anymore.
Cake or muffins?
Muffins, please. Cake is rarely seen at the best houses nowadays.
Hand is to Miss Fairfax.
You have filled my tea with lumps of sugar, and though I distinctly ask you for bread and butter, you have given me cake.
To save my poor, innocent, trusting boy, there are no lengths to which I would not go.
I distrusted you since I first saw you. I felt you were false and deceitful. I am not deceived in such matters. My first impressions of people are invariably right.
I think, Miss Fairfax, that I'm trespassing into your valuable time. Surely there are more calls that you have to do in the neighborhood from the same character?
Ernest? My own Ernest?
Gwendolyn, down.
Oh, a moment. May I ask you if you're engaged to be married to this young lady?
To dear little Cecily, of course not. Why could I put such an idea into your pretty little head?
Thank you. You may.
There was some misconception, Miss Fairfax. The gentleman who sounds a person of your ways is Mr. John Worthy.
I beg your pardon?
This is Uncle Jack.
Jack? Ah!
Here's Ernest.
My own Cecily.
A moment, Ernest. May I ask you, are you engaged to be married to this young lady?
To what, young lady? Good heavens, Gwendolyn.
Yes, to the heavens, Gwendolyn. I mean, to Gwendolyn.
Of course not. What could put such an idea into your pretty head?
Thank you. You may.
I felt there was some slight error, Miss Carter. The gentleman who is now embracing you is my cousin, Mr. Algernon Moncrief.
Algernon Moncrief? Oh. Are you really called Algernon?
I cannot deny it.
Oh.
Is your name really John?
I cannot deny it. It has been John for years.
Across the section has been practiced on both of us.
My poor wounded Cecily.
My sweet dear Gwendolyn,
Will you call me sister, will you not?
there is just one question I would like to be allowed to ask. My guardian?
An admirable idea. Mr. Worthing, where is your brother Ernest? We are both engaged to be married to your brother Ernest. So it is a matter of some importance to know where your brother Ernest is at present.
Gwendolyn, Cecily, it is very painful for me to be forced to speak the truth. This is the first time in life that I have been reduced to such a painful position. However, I will tell you quite frankly that I have no brother Ernest. I have no brother at all. Never had a brother in my life. And I don't have the smallest intention of ever having one in the future.
No brother at all?
None.
You had never any brother of any kind?
Never. Not even of any kind.
Oh, I'm afraid it's clear, dear Cecily, that neither of us are engaged to be married to anyone.
It is not a very pleasant position for a young girl to find herself in, is it?
Let us go into the house. They will hardly venture to come after us there.
No, men are so cowardly, aren't they?
Bags.
This ghastly state of things is what you call bumbering, I suppose?
Yes, and a perfectly wonderful Bunbury it is. The most wonderful Bunbury I have ever had in my life.
Well, you've no right whatsoever to Bunbury here.
That is absurd. One has the right to Bunbury anywhere one chooses. Every serious Bunbury knows that.
Serious Bunbury is
Well, one must be serious about something if one wants to have any amusement in life.
Well, the only small satisfaction I have in this rich business of yours is that your firm is quite exploded. You won't be able to run down the country quite so often as you used to do, dear Algie. And a very good thing, too.
Your brother is a little off color, isn't he, dear Jack? You won't be able to disappear to London quite so frequently as your wicked cousin was. And not a bad thing either.
As for your conduct towards Miss Carty, I must say you taking a sweet, simple, innocent girl like that is totally inexcusable, to say nothing of the fact that she is my ward.
I can see no possible offense for your deceiving a brilliant, clever, thoroughly experienced young lady like Miss Fairfax, to say nothing of the fact that she's my cousin.
I wanted to be engaged to Gwendolyn. That is all. I love her.
Well, I simply wanted to be engaged to Cecily. I adore her.
There's certainly no chance of you marrying Miss Carty.
I don't think there is much likelihood, Jack, of you and Miss Fairfax being united.
That's no business of yours.
If it was my business, I wouldn't talk about it.
How can you sit there, calmly and muffin when we're in this horrible trouble? I can't make out. You seem to me to be perfectly harmless.
Well, I can eat muffins in an agitated manner. It will probably get on my cuffs. One should always eat muffins quite calmly. It is the only way to eat them.
I say it's perfectly harmless of you eating muffins at all, under the circumstances.
When I'm in trouble, eating is the only thing that consoles me. Indeed, when I'm in great trouble, I refuse everything except food and drink. At the present moment, I'm eating muffins because I'm happy. Besides, I'm particularly fond of muffins.
There's no reason why you should eat them more than I'm eating way.
You will have tea cake. I don't like tea cake.
Good God, I suppose I meant made his own muffins in his own garden.
But you just said that it was perfectly harmless to eat muffins.
I said it was perfectly harmless of you eating muffins at all. That's a very different thing.
That might be. But the muffins are the same.
Algie, I wish to goodness you would go.
You can possibly ask me to go without having some dinner. It's absurd. I never go without my dinner. No one ever does, except vegetarians and people like that. Besides, the marvelousness with Dr. Chasuble to be christened at a party to 6 under the name of Ernest.
My dear fellow, the sooner you give up the notice, the better. I made arrangements with Dr. Chasuble to be christened myself at 5:30, and I will naturally take the name of Ernest, whether you would wish it. Because we can't both be christened Ernest, that would be absurd. And there's no evidence at all that proves that I haven't been christened by anybody. It's entirely different in your case. You have been christened already.
Yes, but I have not been christened for years.
But you have been christened. That's an important thing.
You're at the muffins again, Jack. I wish you wouldn't. There are only 2 left.
But I
told
gave
you.
tea cake.
Then why on earth did you allow tea cake to be served up for your guests? What ideas you have of hospitality?
Algie, I already told you go. Why won't you go?
I haven't quite finished my tea yet. And there's still 2 muffins left.
Good, good.
And now, so the first team hasn't given any feedback yet. So that's